If you love a good cruise, then you're definitely going to love this. Join me as we sneak behind the scenes with one of the world's largest leading cruise lines, Carnival Cruises, as we talk all about brand, discuss updates relating to the global cruise rollout, and what you can expect from life on board the fun ship. Hey, I'm Steph, and I'm obsessed with all things travel, marketing, branding, and helping you stand out from the crowd. In just under 2 years, I went from being a home-based travel agent with zero clue how to make it work in the digital world to launching an international ranking travel podcast and creating an online course to help travel agents in lead generation. Here's one thing I know for sure. There has never in the history of the world been a better time to create the travel business you've always wanted. All you need is an actionable strategy and someone to show you the way. Picture this, we're going to spend the next hour of our time together at the Swim Up Pool Bar where over a cocktail, we deep dive into travel-related topics, mixed with a little classroom training. This show is dedicated to encouraging you to step outside of your comfort zone and into your travel business. I'll show you how I did it and how you can too. Hit subscribe now and let's get into it. If you're a travel agent wanting to onboard your perfect fit clients into your biz, download my free cheat sheet for lead generation systems you can use right now. Head to stephaniemyers.academy/cheat sheet. You're listening to Unplug in Paradise, the podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I am so glad to be back. It's been a few months and I've been on hiatus, so it's so nice to be back on the air. I have been neck deep in my training program. So I've been studying in a program called Launchpad with Stevie Says Social the last few months, and I am also launching my brand new online course for travel agents called Travel Agent Runway. Looking so forward to opening doors very soon. And this is my first episode back. So I have the absolute pleasure today of interviewing a veteran in the cruising industry. So I'll introduce him in a moment. But before we begin, I would really like to take a moment to recognise the generations of the local Aboriginal people of the Bundjalung Nation who have lived in and derived their physical and spiritual needs from the forests, rivers, lakes, and streams of this beautiful valley over thousands of years as the traditional owners and custodians of these lands. Joining us on the show today, I have Mark Richards from Carnival Cruise Lines. Mark has been in the travel industry for 17 years, and his number one reason why he loves to travel is to visit different cultures, as it is, in his perception, a way of understanding the human race a little bit more. So before we meet him, a little word of warning. This episode might create a little stir up of FOMO. So, what are we waiting for? Let's dive in. Hello, Mark. A very warm welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Steph. It's great to be here with you today.
Thank you. Well, I do want to start out and ask, you've been in the cruising industry for quite a while. Do you mind giving us a little bit of an outline on how long exactly you've been in the cruise industry for?
Sure, Steph. Yeah, and look, I just want to say thank you first for having me on today. I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, and they're really great and insightful into a lot of great topics, and I'm really honoured to be able to talk to you today. So with myself, I mean, I've been with Carnival now going into my 9th year with the brand, and I kind of ended up it was like about 2012 or 13. I think that dates it back to Carnival was a very kind of new to the Australian market then. No one had, it was very big American brand, and it was kind of just finding its feet in Australia. So when I joined the business, it was very much almost a large business, but a startup in Australia. And it's been a really great ride to be able to come along and see it grow and see the changes and the different aspects that we've kind of gone for the last few years.
It was like the teenager older sibling to P&O when it came to Australia. I remember that was like the cool hip version that we'd never seen before.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So it was like this new market, and someone's like, "Oh, what's Carnival? What's it all about?" You know, and we've kind of really came into the market and really focused on the fun-loving family market, and really found our niche in that market. And I think we've kept true to who we are, and the success of that has come out from because of those values that we've kept, which is really great to see.
Cool. So your niche and your brand messaging, what is that?
Well, we got our current brand messaging, which I absolutely love because it's almost like a mantra to myself. Is our current logo is actually choose fun, which I think sits really, really well with the brand because fun is a choice, and it doesn't matter. Fun comes in all different shapes and sizes, and doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. Everybody has their version of fun, and that's what we try and really instill in our holidays, our Carnival. And so the choose fun really resonates really, really well. But our market is really, we are a mass cruise line market. However, we do focus very heavily on the fun-loving families and couples that come on board. Fun isn't everything we do. It's in our DNA. It's in the way we jump up in the dining room, we dance at dinner, and to right through to the hairiest man competition on board the ship. So some really fun and unique aspects of the ship. So you can immerse yourself in all that, or you can sit back and you can relax and you can read a book and enjoy yourself, or hang out in the adults only area, or the kids can enjoy kids club. There's a really great element to the product and how the holiday can pan out for our guests.
Yeah, for sure. And I love how it's structured so it's not just aimed at like your younger generation, it's full multi-generation, isn't it? So like from your grandparents to your grandkids, everyone can enjoy Carnival. And I just love the fact that you guys do the dancing and interrupt dinner time. It's always like the best interruption. You're like, yes, mid-feast party, like.
No, exactly, yeah, and that's what we do try, because so many, like the Australians, particularly, we holiday very uniquely to a lot of different cultures around the world too. We do immerse ourselves in a family holiday, and we find that when our guests come on board, our families actually want to holiday together and do activities together and have fun together. Yes, there's a time where the children go off to the kids club and mum and dad can have some great time alone, or if you're traveling without kids, there's a really great opportunity to go to one of the 16 bars and lounges on board the ship and immerse yourself there, or as I mentioned before, read a book in Serenity Adults Only area. Mm-hmm. But bringing those families together, all those groups of travelers together, is a really, really a lot of fun. And you touched on it before about dancing in the dining room. Often when I'm talking to a lot of guests, I'll talk about, dinner, all of a sudden our wait staff jump up and we dance in the dining room, and some people go, oh, that's a bit different. But once you're there and you see how it all goes, and before you know it, you're up there, you're dancing, you're having a really great time, and it really kind of radiates really incredibly well. So often I'm walking through shopping centers and I wear my Carnival shirt with pride, and someone will stop me and go, oh, you work for Carnival, and then they tell me their waiter's name, who they're friends with on Facebook, and the great relationship they have. And that's what it's really about,
Yeah, I love that. And I think the first night when you board the ship, it's pretty surreal. Like everyone's got the biggest grin on their faces. You just have this really welcoming vibe on board. And then it's when you sit down, and I think that's a real shock for people. They're sitting down, they're having their dinner, and then all of a sudden someone's singing. And you don't know where it's coming from. And if you're on the mezzanine and you're looking down at the level below you, there's someone standing up on a table dancing and singing, and you're just thinking, hang on. And then everyone around you starts grooving, and it's just such a vibe. I absolutely love it. It is, you guys definitely have the best parties on board as well when it comes to dressing up, and you've got the best shows. And yeah, I'm probably a little bit biased. I do enjoy a Carnival cruise. So.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. And it is a great experience. And you touched on that perfectly. You really summed it up. It is about fun. At the end of the day, and that's what we try and, everything we drew in our pitch and everything we try and do customized for the guests on board is all the underlying fundamental is fun. How can we have fun on board in a safe and happy way, of course, but just enjoy yourself and come back with some great fun memories, which is really great.
That's right. So speaking of which, so you sail in Australia. We've had a couple of ships here over the years, which has been fantastic. Whereabouts in else in the world do you sail on Carnival?
Yeah, of course. So our market here for Australia, of course, is what's great about it is we've actually customize the international product for the Australian market. So when you're on board, we do a lot of Australian food and beverage and things like that as well, and no gratuities on board, and the ships are in Australian dollars while they're here in Australia. So it makes the Australian guest really, really enjoy it.
Yes.
But however, prior to that, we've always been, we started in America. That's where majority of our ships are based. So we have a very big footprint around America, and we tend to home port. So we tend to go into a port and stay there all year. We don't do a lot of, seasonal deployments. The only one we really do is up in Alaska, because it is a seasonal kind of, it's not much fun cruising in Alaska in winter, trust me. So,
why is that? Is it cold?
It's freezing cold. Yeah, so I don't think you spend a lot of time out on the outer decks, and I don't think it's not much fun in the water slides in the middle of winter, which is something we pride ourselves on. But about 50% of the US population within a 5-hour drive can board one of our ships. So
oh wow,
yeah, so we have a really big footprint around America, and they range from right from New York all the way down to the west coast of America. We have right down through the Gulf, so down to the bottom of Galveston and New Orleans and Mobile, Alabama, and some really great kind of ports. We do also do some deployments out of Europe. So we don't spend every year in Europe. We do something when we build a new ship, we'll have a deployment out of there for a little while. But our main markets are Australia and America, which is really exciting.
Yeah. And how many people is on your biggest ship that you have?
Yeah, well, our biggest ship at the moment, we finished it last year. It's called the Mardi Gras. So Mardi Gras is the first LNG powered ship in our fleet, and LNG stands for liquid natural gas. So the great thing about this is we can go deeper and further in destinations at a better cost and better environmental impact. That ship there, look, you've put me on the spot there, but I think we're at about 5,500 people. I'd have to double check that exact math and apologize if anyone out there who's knows that exact number. But she was supposed to cruise last year, and we've got Mardi Gras cruising out of Port Canaveral basically on the 31st of July. So it's going to be its inaugural cruise now. We're ready to go, which is incredibly exciting. And let me tell you, Mardi Gras has a roller coaster on board. How's that? First ever cruise line with a roller coaster on board, which is incredibly exciting.
Definition of fun.
100%.
So there's been such a big roller coaster, speaking of which, in our world over the last 18 months. Mark, where are the ships at the moment? Where is Carnival floating around in our big blue ocean out there?
Yeah, look, it's quite great. A lot of people don't realize, but a lot of the ships are still, for the last few months and up until we basically started our deployment again in America on the 3rd of July, which I'll cover off in a sec. But up until that point, we've had a pause, of course, from March last year of 2020. And the ships have basically, for the Australian fleet, we've been just basically sitting off the coast of Singapore for the last kind of, 18 odd months. And just going in and out of Singapore to be able to do crew changeovers and to refuel and things like that, because cruise ships aren't designed to just sit on anchor somewhere. They're actually more economical if they're sailing. So a lot of times they're sailing and doing things like that. And one of the great things, if you are very interested in knowing where the ships are as well, there's a really good app called Marine Traffic, and it's a free app, and you can download that. And you can actually Google you can search for a ship name, and it will tell you where they are. And off the coast of Singapore, you'll notice if you do look in that particular area, you'll see a big cluster of ships. So a lot of our sister brands are up there as well. Some of the other cruise lines, they're all kind of in that same vicinity area, and you'll see a big kind of whole bunch of little blue dots where they all are. So that's a really interesting app to look at. Yeah, which is really exciting. And then we basically, about a month ago, we've moved Carnival Spirit and Carnival Splendor, which are Australian ships. We've taken them up to Dubai. Okay. Yeah, and we own a berthing up in Dubai. So we've basically put the two ships alongside, along against the land, basically. So it's basically you can walk off the gangway on and off the ship. So Carnival Spirit, for the first time since March of last year, touched dry land just a few weeks ago, which is amazing. So it's apart from that, it's been fueled by a bunker vessel. So it's really interesting that they're now alongside there. So yeah, really exciting.
So is that a long-term strategy, Mark?
Look, it's just at the moment we've just kind of put it up there. We've just kind of parked them up there. It's a very good hub to be able to. We have reduced the amount of crew on board, obviously, because you can't. It's not like you can't just turn the lights off and leave and then come back a year later and start the ship back up again. It still has to be manned, and there's a lot of safety aspects that have to keep continuing, and maintenance we have to do on board and things like that. So we do have a very minimal crew on board at the moment. And they still want to go home and see their loved ones and family. So we still do need to have to rotate our crew through. And Dubai being, a Middle Eastern hub, it's basically a really good hub to get crew from all over the world in there and be able to get them on board. So we just made the decision to move them up there. Carnival Spirit also, prior to coming back to Australia, she's going into, and most people refer to ships as she's. I'm sure you've probably come across that before.
Of course they're all she's, Mark.
Because they're beautiful, that's why. So,
thanks.
So Carnival Spirit is going to have a dry dock, and what that basically means is we're going to pull her out of the water, and we're going to do a whole bunch of work on the engines and a few things like that prior to bringing her down to a new home of Brisbane. So, and then we're going to do that work up in Dubai. So it just makes it very easy to be able to get her into one of those dry dock facilities. Up there.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I like that. So speaking about Brisbane, we've got some very exciting developments happening there, don't we, Mark?
Oh, 100%. Very exciting.
So looking to the future, can you explain what is the big news?
Of course. So we've got for a very long time we've been developing the idea of growing the southeast Queensland corner of the hub in order to be able to develop it for cruising. And finally, a few years ago, work started on the brand new Brisbane International Cruise Terminal. And this is about $177 million investment in the Queensland, southeast Queensland and Brisbane cruise economy, which is incredibly exciting. And it's a brand new terminal that it was finished in October last year. So it's sitting there. You and I went and checked it out a few weeks ago, which was a lot of fun to be able to spend the day together.
It was so good.
So good. And it's a purpose-built facility. So it's like any other cruise, a lot of cruise ports around the world. Sometimes there's restaurants in there as well and things like this. This is a purpose-built cruise port facility that's just for cruising. So when the cruise ships leave at the end of the day, it gets locked up, and then the next day, the next cruise ship comes in, it opens up again, and it transforms itself into into what it is. And the guys at the Port of Brisbane, who are basically have built this facility and are managing it, they've done such an amazing job in looking in the way that the flow of guests goes through and the check-in and embarkation and debarkation process. It's absolutely magical in the way they've kind of ticked all the boxes, and the aesthetics of it is just absolutely beautiful as well.
Yeah, well, they've really put a lot of thought into it as well. So when we did our tour, they were talking about how ecologically sustainable the boardwalk and everything was heading out to the cruise itself. And I just love how open air it is. It's making use of the, natural resources like that airflow, so it's nice and fresh. And you're also looking after the environment and the ecosystems that live within the river system itself. So they've really thought about it. And you know what? It's probably the best thing that's happened in Brisbane. And I really love that it's on the airport side. So can you tell us whether there's going to be some sort of connection between the airport and the actual terminal? I know it's 10-15 minutes away from the actual airport.
Yeah, of course. So look, I mean, a lot of thought and process went into where it's located, and having it at the mouth of the river of Brisbane River is very, very handy, because we can basically the largest ship currently sailing in the world can utilize that port if they want to, because of the
100%.
way. Yeah, which is so great. The fact that they've thought so much into the future. Ships are getting bigger and bigger, and it's nice to be able to say that they've thought of that kind of stuff. But what will basically, I mean, with the announcement, I mean, we're doing this podcast a few days after the announcement of Brisbane Olympics in 2032, which is incredibly exciting. More infrastructure will come into these areas. At the moment, it is available to get there by a private vehicle, taxi, or ride share. There's a lot of abundance of parking there. But look, I'm sure, the Brisbane and the Brisbane Council and government have got a lot of plans there down the future, hopefully to link it with rail and things like that. But at this moment, it's not currently linked there. But very rarely in any port anywhere in the world can you generally drive up to the port, park right by the front door within 30 meters and walk onto your ship. So to have that facility there is incredibly exciting for Brisbane.
Yeah, 100%. I really like where it's situated. Actually, it gets, and for ease of traffic, coming and going, just gets you out of that hustle and bustle, so you're not being challenged by everyone else on the road. Like, it's quite out of the way, and it's, yeah, like you said, they've chosen the location really well. So yeah, from an agent's perspective, I approve.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And it's also, you also can start your holiday 2 hours earlier too, because you don't have the river to kind of negotiate your way down. So the minute you're on ship and you start sailing, we can get to the South Pacific Islands or the Queensland coast destinations 2 hours quicker.
You can sound the horn straight
exciting.
away. Don't
Exactly.
have to wait. No, I love that. Now we're going to zip over to the US deployment at the moment. Can you shine a little light on the involvement of CLIA with that whole process of how they've helped our industry and how now US deployment is going now as scheduled?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, CLIA is our governing body for cruise. And I'm not sure if you've spoken about CLIA in previous podcasts. However, we try, and all the cruise lines trying to get together, and we have the overarching kind of champion of all of our cruise lines, so they can have one voice to make it easier rather than to, a lot of different kind of ideas and things like that. And CLIA have done an absolutely outstanding job, not just in the US. They are, yeah, exactly. And in Australia as well. They've been a really great voice. So there was a lot of hurdles about, what does cruising look like? What is the experience going to be like on board and things like that. And I think, it's taken a while for this to kind of come out, but I think at the end of the day, no cruise lines really wanted to kind of put a policy in place and then have to change it. So we really wanted to try and get to what cruising looks like, and that's the path forward and what it looks like. And that means that, so our Carnival, we were our first cruise. We've actually resumed cruising in the US, which is so exciting because it paves a path forward for Australia, for the rest of the world as well. That we can. This is a very safe and comfortable environment in which you can cruise in this kind of new world that we're kind of living in at the moment. So our first ship was on the 3rd of July, Carnival Vista, which I adore. She's a Vista class ship. She was one of my first US ships that I went on over in the US when I sailed on Carnival out of the US. She's fantastic. She's got an IMAX theater on board as well, and a 4D cinema. And she's got this thing called a Sky Ride, which is a pedal powered device that goes around the outside of the ship. But Carnival Vista basically set sail on the 3rd of July, so only a few weeks ago, and she's going out to the South Pacific. Not South Pacific, apologies. She's going out to the Caribbean, and cruising around there. And then the next day, her sister ship, the Carnival Horizon, cruised out of Miami on the 4th of July, which is incredibly exciting.
Oh my gosh! And it's so cool to be a part of. Like, there's so many Facebook groups, Carnival lovers and stuff like that. People sharing photos and cocktails and sail away parties and all that sort of thing. Like, everyone's just having the time of their lives, and it's just sending out like this big massive wave of like envy across the whole rest of the world. Oh well, yeah, we're happy for you.
we just look at it going, I can't wait to be that person, to be sipping that cocktail on board. So
that's
really
right.
exciting.
That's right. So if you could describe how you would spend your day on Carnival, like your Mark's perfect day on board, what would you do waking up now?
Oh, okay. Well, waking up. Well, first, I always book a balcony room because I find that the best way to open up the day. So I rip open my curtains, get ready for the day. I head up generally. My first thing I generally do, I'm a bit of on a cruise ship, depending, because I'm a bit of a night owl. So sometimes I don't generally wake up at first light. However, the first thing I generally do is I head up to Blue Iguana Cantina, which is our taco burrito and salsa bar. Now you think, why would you go there first thing in the morning?
For breakfast.
You spot on, Steph. Yeah, for the breakfast burrito, which is one of my favorite breakfasts on board. I absolutely adore it. That's the first thing I generally do. And then I'll generally once I've had that, I'll probably go up and do maybe a little bit of a walk around the running track or go to the gym. And then I'll generally come down and I'll probably have my second breakfast, which is the brunch, the sea day brunch. My cruises, my perfect day is very much centric around food.
Yeah.
And then one of the things, one of the things I love not necessarily planning your day too much, and just kind of spontaneously going to different venues and seeing what's happening, because all of a sudden you're walking past a venue and it's alive, and you just go in there. It might be live music, and might be playing trivia or even bingo or karaoke or something on those lines, and you just find yourself immersing yourself in those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things we've got as well, which we've put a lot of development in, is the Carnival Fun Hub app, and that is awesome. So you can go through and you can see exactly when. So if you are a karaoke fan, for example, you can see exactly when that's on, and you can put a little kind of a little star on it, and then it will remind you when that event's starting. So if you are someone who wants a bit more structured cruising, that's a really good option to be able to do as well.
So handy.
I know. And then I'm going to make you really. We're going to get a bit hungry right now. Then after that takes us to about lunchtime. So lunch for me is always spent up at Guy's Burger Joint, and Guy's Burger Joint is our celebrity chef Guy Ferreri. He's from a show called Dives, Drive-ins, and Diners. He's barbecue royalty in America, and he does a beautiful gourmet burger on board. Of course, these burgers, tacos, they're all included in the cruise fare, which is why Carnival gives you such good value. And that's probably the original ringer burger. Or sometimes if you ever cruise in Australia, here's a little secret, Steph. You can ask for the boomerang burger. It's a secret burger, so it's not on the menu, and you can only get it in Australia. Okay. Which is really, really cool. And then just relax and probably go up to Serenity for a while, read my book, and enjoy myself before getting ready for dinner and shows at the end of the day, and then rinse and repeat.
Right. Okay, cool. So you're a bit of a day drinker when it comes to laying out in the sun?
Yeah, I do. Look, I mean, that's the great thing. I mean, I have some days where I can sit there and I can read my book, but some days I couldn't stare at a book at all. So, it really depends on the mood I'm in, and that's the great thing about cruising. It just offers you that kind of that relaxation and that option to be able to, do I want to do a lot or do I want to do nothing? That's the cool thing about it in general.
Yeah, I love that. And I must say, I got the worst sunburn of my life the first 2 days.
Oh no!
When I was on board Carnival, and I was like, you know what? I think I was working in Byron at the time, and theoretically I should have had the tan, but I didn't, because I work in an office. I have a moon tan. Yeah. So when I went on board, I was glowing. And then when I got back, I was like brown as a berry. I was like, yes, it was worth it.
Oh, that's awesome. It wasn't one of those Kramer when he gets burnt in Seinfeld situations, hopefully.
No. But I did get teased. I did get teased on board saying, wow, Steph, you're really red. You're kind of like a pommy backpacker. That was the description. I'm like, well.
Oh, it's great fun.
I'm like, well, maybe my boss needs to send me on some more trips. So,
well, 100%. The only way to fix that is to cruise more.
That's right. Well, how would people find out more about Carnival? So you are on social media. Can you drop us your handle and where they can find out some more info?
Yeah, sure. So Carnival Cruise Line AU. Okay, so that's our Australian handle, and if you drop the AU, you'll pick up our US handle there as well. That's for Instagram and Facebook. So it's a really great kind of way to be able to find that as well. And also, if you're really interested in finding more about Carnival as well, we have a brand ambassador called John Heald. So if you search John Heald, he'll pop up. He's an English ex-cruise director who does a lot of updates as well, and talks a lot about the US resumption at the moment and what's coming up. And so that's a really kind of great way to look up, what's happening in our world as well. Mm-hmm. And of course, carnival.com.au as well. If you want to find any information as well, that's on there. Or of course, the best way to find the best information is through you, Steph. So to drop you a message, and I'm sure you can help them out as well.
Yeah, cool. I love how much support you give to travel agents as well, because your slogan is
Travel Agents Rock.
Yeah.
Look, travel agents are very important in our business. Travel agent, you just kind of can provide so much more information as well. And also not just more information, but more of a tailored piece of information for the guests that are traveling, because that's kind of what you need. There's a lot of information out there, and to be able to chew through it all and find out what's relevant and what's not to you as well. Our travel agent partners and yourself included, Steph, do such a great job of being able to, provide the right information at the right time and the guidance through what to pack and what to take, and because we have theme nights on board. A lot of you won't. A lot of times you don't find that information on websites and things like that. So to be able to know when 80s rock and glow deck party is, or one of those, or a Mexican fiesta night, and what to pack and what to bring, those are where travel agents are valuable.
And there's always something that I give people at the end, after they've come home from a Carnival cruise. I always send them the recipe of the chocolate melting cake.
Oh yes.
And they love me. They're like, oh my God, that chocolate melting cake was just so devilish.
I'll tell you a little secret about the chocolate melting cake. So that is our number one dessert on board our entire cruise, entire fleet. But what I do, right, it comes with vanilla ice cream, and I love vanilla ice cream, but the butter pecan ice cream. So order butter pecan ice cream with your chocolate melting cake. That is just mind blowing. That is beautiful. That's what I do. Yeah.
Well, they don't get it. Do they give it as an option?
Yeah. They don't generally give it as an option, but they give you the ice cream's on the menu, but you just got to kind of ask for it, and they give you that on the side as well. So look, I'm a bit of a sweet tooth, so I do love dessert.
No, we're definitely on the same page there.
No, that's exciting to hear.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mark. Looking forward to reconnecting in the future sometime, and really looking forward to the resumption of cruise down here in Australia. Big, massive thanks to yourself for being such a huge advocate for, Southeast Queensland and Australia as a whole, for Carnival and for cruising altogether. And a massive shout out to CLIA as well, who are also equally fighting and lobbying for our industry so much at the moment. So looking forward to when it all starts going in again and we can go out and have some fun.
I know, can't wait. So yeah, we'd love to see you all on board Carnival Splendor out of Sydney, or Carnival Spirit out of her new home in Brisbane as well when we resume.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Thanks, Steph.
Cheers. Thanks, Mark. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so I'm not sure about you, but that episode 100% makes me want to go and jump on a cruise ship right now. So if you are looking forward to cruising, returning to Australia, and you are thinking of Carnival, please make sure that you download the Carnival Hub app in advance. I will put a link into the show notes so you'll be able to check it all out. The link to the show notes today is travelbystephanie.com.au/32, and it'll have a link straight to it. You can download it on iPhone and Android. It is a handy tool because you can plan your cruise, do all your gifts and services and stuff like that on board. You can even schedule your spa treatments, purchase plans, schedule your dining reservations, do your online check-in, book shore excursions, and do so much more. There is a small fee, I believe, where if you want to chat with family and friends on board as well, but it is super because you get to see where all the ships are at and find all the food and drinks and pencil in your itinerary pretty much if you're that way inclined, so you don't miss out on anything that you had your heart on seeing. Also, a special note as well that Mark mentioned in the episode is the marine traffic app. So if you wanted to see where the ships are located around the world at the moment, download the marine traffic app. It is free, and you'll be able to check to see where all the Carnival ships are located around the world. If you've enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you gave me a rating and review over on Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to follow me on Spotify. Until next time, looking forward to chatting again soon. I'll see you later. Bye.